now. So this is the Mustard Room crew, where today we're talking about cleanliness in the engine room. So the main topic I'm trying to touch on is why we need cleanliness and organization down in the engine room. The main reason is we need to make sure where our oil is going. Like for our oily rags or our absorb all pads, where is that all going and how do we get rid of it when we go to sea? For the ships that I've been on, we have designated oil removal barrels that we empty out every day, and we put in a giant oil drum. And when we come into port, we'll actually get those taken away by a company. The main reason why we keep our oil separated is because it's flammable, very flammable. So if we put it in with a garbage and we start grinding around our open garbage can, that ignites, we're going to have a full-blown fire in the engine room. And in doing so, separating our oil from our garbage, we can actually just put our garbage in domestic garbage compared to having a company coming for all of our garbage, which we have to pay per pound. So
yeah. Another good point about oily rags in the garbage is the marine industry is becoming quite environmentally based, and if you know all your oily rags are in one designated bin, it's much easier to dispose of them properly instead of it going into the ocean and potentially killing some endangered species somewhere there, or a company getting huge fines for oil pollution of some kind.
Exactly. Sylvie, you got anything to touch on that, or?
Yeah, another thing about oily rags and like stuff with oil on it is that if it's not put away properly, that's also a big risk for slips and trips and falls because oil gets so slippery on the floors.
Exactly. I mean, you guys have seen it in Lawson shop so far. You guys separate your actual garbage from your oily rags because the garbage just gets thrown in the dumpster. Then what do you do with the oily rags? You tie them up in a bag and you kind of, there's a separate spot you put it, but
yeah.
Again, what happens to it afterwards, we don't know. But if you take the precaution to actually send it away with a specific company to say, hey, this is oily rags, we need to get this gone, do what you need to do with it so we don't bury it in the ground with everything else that we do, it's better off for the environment. Next is management, making sure your space is clear or clean. Mostly tools. Having your tools put away in the proper spot is a big thing because, of course, you're not the only crew that works on that ship. If you go for your 18 mil socket and where you guys kept it is different than the other crews where they kept it, you guys don't know where the 18 mil socket is. So in doing so, having a unified spot for both crews to leave their tools, so having a wall of their power tools, having a wall of sockets, having a wall of wrenches, or like drawers, having that consistency helps out for a new person like us to come on board and be like, okay, that's where all the wrenches are. That's where they go. Nowhere else. I don't leave them at my workspace. I don't leave them in the bilge. I put them back there where they belong. Especially with like smaller tools like screwdrivers, pry bars, small wrenches. They go missing all the time because where do they go? They go in your pockets. They go in your coverall pockets, and then where do they go after that? They go in the washer, and then they go somewhere. Either they go to the garbage, they get thrown overboard, who knows? But if you are able to keep a log or like a mental note, like, oh, I took an 18 mil socket, an 18 mil wrench, I took a power driver, and I took the radio for yourself, and take all those things back, you never lose a tool. Like, especially with like oily, like keeping your stuff organized makes the dream work. Because of course, if you have one guy that's like, the wrenches don't go over there, they go in that drawer, and he puts all the wrenches in that drawer, the next guy that comes on board, who's used to having all the wrenches on the wall, will be like, You'll look at the wall, see no wrenches. Well, we need to get more wrenches. Buy more wrenches. Then you have 2 sets of wrenches.
Yeah, and it's also good practice to keep track of where and what tools you're using on a job, because say you don't have that organization in place while you're doing routine maintenance on a generator or a motor of some kind, and you somehow lose a bolt or something goes missing, and if you didn't keep track of what you had beforehand, you would have noticed that bolt or that tool went missing and could be in the sump of that engine. Now later when you start it up, you hear a horrible noise and you realize there's something in the sump of the engine. And at that point, there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
Exactly.
And doing something as simple as you mentioned, where you keep a log of which tools you took out, which parts were which parts you removed, which parts you replaced, helps relieve that doubt. Okay, I put everything where it was. There's nothing in the engine. We can start it up slow.
Exactly.
And it will still operate fine.
Yeah, and this year too, what we're having to do is we have to sanitize each and every one of the tools or like little sockets or anything that we're using. So those all have to be wiped down with antibacterial stuff before everything's put away. And every piece of equipment that we touch throughout the day in the shop, it has to be wiped with the welders and stuff like that.
Exactly. So keeping that mental log helps you out and helps everybody out to stop the spread of the this awful disease that is plaguing everybody right now. So now kind of off topic because we had to deal with it yesterday. How was your guys' career fair?
It went pretty good.
It was.
We were discussing, or we were introduced to a lot of companies that we were also introduced to last year. It was nice to see the changes that they put in place in comparison to the previous year career fair, and the adaptation they had to do because of COVID this year.
How did you find the presentations online? Did you find them? Well, I know Rainier, you've been in the auditorium sitting in front of somebody talking to you about the companies. Did you find that they were more interactive or less interactive due to being online?
I found they were more interactive than in the auditorium, just for the simple fact that now you're having a one-on-one. It feels almost like you're having a one-on-one conversation with the company itself. Even though there's 100 people watching the same presentation, you still feel that you're just here with this company now, because they're pretty much talking about what their company stands for and what their company wants for cadets, which in the auditorium it's a little bit overwhelming because you can see all the people there, and at times you tend to limit your questions because you feel almost you don't want to take up all the time. You want to give other people a chance for questions, but when you're having that one-on-one almost, where there's still 100 people but you don't notice them, you're more open to asking questions.
Sylvie?
I thought it was kind of hard, just because you can't really like actually connect with the person. Like you can't like shake hands and say like, "Hi, my name is Sylvie. Like I'm in the first year," you know. Like it was good informational wise, but I kind of missed like making that like personal connection to the person, like as we're meeting them.
Yeah. I'm personally kind of in the neutral. I do enjoy how they presented it, but if COVID was to just vanish tomorrow and we had to do the skills fair again tomorrow, I like them both ways, but if I had to pick a favorite, I would much rather be in front of a person, shaking their hand. Hello, my name is Spencer Longmire. I'm in third year engineering. I want to work for your company. Unlike what we're doing here, I could literally turn off my or minimize minimize this and just talk. I could just prattle on about anything without looking at you guys, right? Like, so I mean,
Yeah.
for what they had and what they could do, it was the best they could. But when COVID goes away, I hope it goes back to the way it was before, where you could actually talk to a person one-on-one before the actual or after their actual presentation. What else can we talk about?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of how career fairs are going to be going for the next little while, just because realistically it is pretty easy because you can get like anyone from anywhere around the world like presenting there.
Yeah.
Plus, it works out a lot cheaper for the companies.
Exactly. They don't have to. They don't have to fly somebody here to Nova Scotia. They don't have to pay rent. They don't have to pay. They don't have to pay food and board. They don't have to pay their day in lieu. They don't have to. They can sit at home on their time off and not put on pants and tell us, "Oh, this company's great."
Yes. And from what I saw yesterday as well, it was quite nice to also see some of the changes in the companies themselves, safety-wise, because of COVID, because a lot of them were also going through what additional safety standards they were put in place due to COVID. Most of them didn't really have many changes on board the vessels themselves, but a lot of them had changes before you even got on the or mentioned that they had put changes in place before you get on the vessel themselves.
Yes.
Which is good for us as cadets because odds are we wouldn't be kept in province depending on which company we'll be going to. We'll probably be shipped out to the lakes or somewhere out west.
Or Newfoundland.
Or Newfoundland, which either way we'd have to cross borders. So it's good to see that the companies brought that in mind and mentioned that that when they send cadets over there, it would only be as a last resort if they don't have any other ships in province, or if they have to do it, they would support you while you're either quarantining or waiting to get on board your vessel.
Yes. So did any of the companies jump out at you guys that you might want to work for? Like, you don't have to say if you don't feel comfortable, but is there any that really stuck out? Like, man, these guys are above and beyond what I was expecting, or?
For myself personally, I was quite impressed with Horizon Maritime and ATL and Diganya especially, because all three of them had quite outstanding presentations, and they all showed, especially for the international student point of view, a possibility for international students to have a chance to go on board one of their ships.
I seen that during that a lot of them were just like, yeah, sorry, we don't take international students, and it was I'm sitting here listening to it, and I'm like, man, I felt for your Rain. It's like, is he ever gonna find a spot here in Canada that he could do? Like, it's like my heart goes out to you because of it. Like, coming all the way here to Canada from, where are you from again? South Africa?
Yes.
Like, it takes a lot of guts to come over that far away from family and friends.
Yeah, and staying here over COVID as well.
Yes.
I haven't seen any family in over 2 years now. So.
God, I'd hate that. Like, just being able to see them like this, man, that would be gutting. Like, I'd hate to do that. Like you have really strong willpower to be here for that long without your family. Like,
but at the end of the day, they're supporting me, and best I can do is do my part, keep my grades up.
Good man.
And hopefully the effort pays off.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Sylvie?
I really liked Horizon's presentation. Ever since I kind of like had an interest in the industry, I've wanted to work for Horizon. I really liked CSLs as well. They have a really good cadet sponsorship program.
That's good. Anything you guys, any topics you want to bring up now that I kind of went through my little spiel, just why we should have separated garbage and why we need to keep our workshops clean because of the hazards that come with not a very well-suited workshop.
What are your comments on the ship that went down a couple days ago?
Where was that to? Because
the Atlantic Destiny.
Yes.
Destiny.
That was the Atlantic Destiny, just off Yarmouth.
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean the fishing vessel?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Apparently they had a fire on board.
Oh, that's a different ship. That's a different ship. I was thinking about the one that happened over Christmas.
Yeah. Apparently they had a fire on board, and it's so recent. There's nothing saying what exactly happened on board the vessel, but apparently there was a fire on board, and they started taking on water, and the ship had sunk the day after it started. The morning after the fire started, they had gotten the last few people off board, and the ship finally sank.
So nobody was on board when it went down?
Yes. Thankfully, they were able to get all 32 crewmates off board.
Oh yes, here it is. I just pulled up the link to it here now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a scallop dragger. Sank off Nova Scotia. Okay. Well, that's not good. I didn't hear about this, but thank goodness everybody came out like with that recent, the most recent one that went down over the summer, or not the summer, the Christmas break. Yeah. The one where all hands were lost at sea.
Yeah.
Like it's good that our Coast Guard over here is actually here to help people that are in need, because
the Chief William Solis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most countries don't have a functioning or as functioning Coast Guard as Canada does. So.
Yeah. Well, being from a fishing family, prior fishing family, it's good to know that you don't just have to worry about your fellow fishermen out there. Like having those fast rescue crafts that are out there, if you have to put out your SOS.
Yeah.
To know that somebody will be there as soon as possible. Looks like we just lost Sylvie. That's not good. Oh well. But yeah, with knowing that we have the Coast Guard is a very helpful thing, or like a very keeps you at ease if you're on a smaller vessel.
Yes.
But my heart goes out to all those sailors that have lost their lives on the most recent ship off Nova Scotia and all around the world.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to see nowadays with the advances in technology, and compared to back in the days when the only hand you had was your buddy that was beside you on board.
Yeah.
It's come a long way, but we still have work that needs to be done to it, because there's still so far you can get in a certain amount of time before something more aggressive happens.
Well,
but
look at the scale or the advancements, like 300 years ago, when sailing was only really starting to become more commercial in a sense, and not just being wooden boats floating around from continent to continent. There wasn't really any other safety measures there. It was all just based on what the captain said. That's what happened. But because of people losing their lives. And this is the sad truth about the marine industry, is that a lot of regulations come from people losing their lives or getting injured. A great example is SOLAS, the very foundation of pretty much every regulation we have to follow.
Comes from the Titanic.
Comes from one of the biggest losses of life.
And why we wear purple stripes.
And why we wear purple stripes. So it's sad that the industry has to learn from a loss of life in a way, but it's good that at least the industry learns something from it,
yeah,
and tries to improve from that.
Yes.
Because if you look at the size of the oceans, it's pretty hard to think of everything that can go wrong, because you can think of everything and there's still going to be surprises.
Yes. Exactly. One rogue wave can sink the most advanced ship. Yep. Or one bad weather storm can capsize any ship, no matter how many dollars you put into it.
Yeah.
Until they make a self-righting, self-piloting ship. Great for us because they still need engineers. Woot woot.
Yes.
But don't tell the boys.
Yeah.
But until that day, there's gonna be some situation where the loss of life is gonna happen, because that's the risk of this industry. There's never not a moment where you're like, well, this ship could capsize right now.
Yes.
It's just the nature of the beast and what we've signed our life away, I guess.
Yeah.
It comes all the way back to the merchant marine. Think about the merchant marine. The men and women who were just sailors, who were willing to send arms and munition over to Britain during World War II because they knew if Britain fell, everybody else fell. They were just people like you and me.
Yep.
1920, taking Dad's fishing boat across the ocean to Britain.
Yep.
But other than that, I think we can, if you guys have nothing else to report, we can...
No, I think I'm good.
You're good too, Rain? All right, well, I will quit the recording here now.